Have you ever wondered why some programmers literally can't stop coding, even when they're exhausted, hungry, and their eyes are burning? Getting addicted to coding is actually way easier than you think, and the science behind it might completely change how you see programming forever. I'm about to show you the hidden psychology that makes coding more addictive than social media, gambling, and even video games combined. And if you're someone who's been coding for a while, what I'm about to share might explain some behaviors you didn't even realize you had. 2 years ago, I could understand why I was staying up until 3 a.m. debugging code that probably didn't even matter. I thought I was just passionate about programming. But then I discovered the real science behind coding addiction, and it completely changed everything. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 neurological reasons why coding becomes addictive, show you the warning signs that 99% of programmers miss, and explain how modern AI tools are making this addiction crisis way worse than anyone realizes. But first, let me give you some proof this actually works. I've personally interviewed over 200 developers about their coding habits, analyzed brain scan studies from 2023, and even documented my own coding patterns for 6 months. What I found will shock you. Here's what everyone gets wrong about coding addiction, and it's costing programmers their health, relationships, and ironically, their actual productivity. Most people think coding addiction is just about loving technology or wanting to build cool stuff. But neuroscientists have discovered something way more sinister happening in your brain that nobody talks about. Every time you write a line of code and it works, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that makes gambling addictive. But here's the kicker: coding doesn't give you dopamine on a predictable schedule. Instead, it's completely random. You might spend 3 hours stuck on a bug, getting frustrated. Then suddenly everything clicks, and you get this massive dopamine hit. This random reward system is exactly what makes slot machines so addictive. But unlike gambling, coding has a hidden feature that makes it even more dangerous. What I'm about to show you might be the most important thing you learn about coding this year, and it explains why some programmers literally dream in code. Remember when I mentioned staying up until 3 a.m. debugging? I thought I was just dedicated. But then I discovered this 2023 brain scan study that changed everything I thought I knew about programming. Coding literally rewires your brain structure. People who code regularly develop different brain patterns than those who don't. The part of your brain responsible for complex problem solving gets bigger and more active. You not just getting better at coding, you becoming neurologically dependent on that specific type of challenge. But here's where things get really wild, and it explains why AI tools might be creating a coding addiction crisis. This next part is happening right now to millions of developers. Most don't even realize it's changing their brain chemistry. With AI tools like ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, coding has become like switching from regular coffee to pure espresso. The feedback loop becomes so fast and intense that developers are reporting they literally can't stop coding. I've talked to programmers who say they dream in code, not metaphorically, but actually dream about loops and functions and wake up with solutions. This thing called recursion dreams, where your brain keeps running the same code over and over while you sleep. But the brain rewiring is just the beginning. There's a social component that makes this addiction almost impossible to break. Raise your hand if you've ever checked your GitHub contribution graph more than your social media. If you have, you're experiencing something psychologists are now calling productivity addiction. A lot of people get into coding to escape social anxiety, but then they discover this online community of developers who understand them. GitHub contributions become like social media likes. Those little green squares showing your daily coding activity become more important than real-world accomplishments. Platforms like LeetCode and HackerRank have turned coding into literal games with points, rankings, and streaks. You start solving problems not because you need to, but because you don't want to break your streak. It's social media psychology disguised as skill development. But there's one more effect that might be the most dangerous of all, and it explains why coding can feel almost supernatural. What I'm about to share explains why you can sit down to fix one small bug and suddenly it's 6 hours later and you have eaten or moved. This isn't just losing track of time. This is entering a flow state so deep that your normal awareness shuts down completely. Real life starts feeling boring and slow compared to the intense focus and immediate feedback you get from coding. Here's the thing that really messes with your head. Unlike other addictions, coding addiction can actually be beneficial in the short term. You learn skills, build impressive projects, maybe even get better job opportunities. So when people tell you you're spending too much time coding, you can point to all these positive outcomes and convince yourself everything is fine. Look, 97% of tutorial addicts never get hired. I built 7 roadmaps that break this cycle, but I'm only sharing with 10 serious developers. 7 spots gone. Links in the description. Move fast. Your future $70,000 salary depends on taking action now. The reality is that getting addicted to coding is one of the most sophisticated behavioral addictions of our time. It combines neurochemistry with social validation, skill development, gamification, and AI acceleration, all wrapped up in something society tells you is good for you. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. The key is recognizing that something can be both beneficial and addictive at the same time. The goal isn't to stop coding, but to develop a healthier relationship with it where you're in control. So that's how coding addiction rewires your brain and changes your behavior in ways you probably never realized. But knowing this is just the first step. The real question is, how do you maintain your passion for coding while avoiding the addiction trap? I created a follow-up video that shows the 5 practical strategies I use to stay productive without burning out, including the coding time block system that helped me double my output while working half the hours. Click here to watch it now. And if this video opened your eyes to something you didn't realize about your own coding habits, hit that subscribe button. Because we're just getting started with honest takes about the reality of learning to code.